what separates these two teams.
Keep in mind, they did have Praetor throughout their run through the OCS, so some of that teamwork would have been there for him, so coming back in should be a little bit easier for him to gel back in here. So right away we see the Bard getting banned away, so not going to see that on Rosie. Definite favorite champion of his.
Yeah, we shouldn't see that Bard ever for Rosie.
Yeah.
He knows it. Everyone knows it. He just should not get the champion.
And Vladimir following that one, and Lucian, quick bans here tonight.
Yeah, so the Vladimir being taken away. It is red side, so you'd expect the Rise with it sooner or later. Swain has been a little bit amiss in these ban phases at the moment.
Sure.
You can get one targeted in on the red.
There you go, targeted at Fantix. The Twisted Fate, not going to let him have that global map pressure and on point stun that we all know and love from Twisted Fate. Ezreal actually getting taken away here from Lost. So really focusing out this bot lane of Tainted Minds, aren't we?
Entirely bottom lane bans here from Direwolves, and Raze and Regret are still really strong in their own right. So this focus is a big sign of respect. I know Lost is definitely in form at present, and this is probably the best week that we'll see him compete up against the star bottom lane of Direwolves. That is a lot of respect.
So Tainted Minds, they ban away that Kindred, leaving open what we didn't think would be the Rise. So,
and Relia.
There's a lot of good champions available for Direwolves right now, but remember, whichever one they pick, Tainted Minds could potentially get both.
And this game's exciting because we do have the possibility of getting Praetor and Chippies on their best champions.
Oh yeah.
Neither of them being focused, a lot of bottom lane. Even the Kindred from Sybil, who has a preference to Elise, is honestly shocking.
Yep, there you go. Taking that Elise straight away, so favoring that above maybe the Aurelia, maybe the Rise, and Swain. There's just so many champions to list off Rek'Sai as well, so Zahi definitely going to get that one from himself. The desk mentioned he kind of falls flat when he doesn't have his hands on her.
And with all of these options available, Tainted Minds have to choose now. Do they actually get the Rise for Omni, who can also play the Azir anyway?
Sure.
Do they look towards the Rek'Sai in that jungle pick to not reveal the rest of their team composition, just rely on the tank, maybe get a support with it? Honestly, Rosie has a lot of options, and occasionally Tainted Minds have been last picking that support role just because they know exactly what they want and they can lock it in.
That's exactly right here. So Tainted Minds, 15 seconds left on the clock to decide what they want their first two champions to be revealed as. And there's so many picks available. We know Praetor, he loves his Fiora. Might be a little bit too early to show your hand just yet, but last week Lost did play some Sivir, so we'll be seeing the Sivir Karma, and when you can't get Bard, you go for Karma.
Absolutely right. Rosie's got that carry mentality coursing deep through his veins personally. Karma as a option that can sort of be flexed. I don't think we get to really see any of that in the OPL.
Sure.
Can still be flexed with the middle lane. Karma has been doing quite well internationally in that position, but Rosie should be playing that. And of course, locking in a Sivir Karma bottom lane, very much about enabling your team, having the double speed boost. You can get anybody into that back line.
It's absolutely insane just watching them both pop those moves and either engaging a fight at light speed or booking it out of there, making sure you're never caught out of position.
Yeah, the forward and back availability that a Sivir Karma does have is quite handy for utility. Of course, lacking in crowd control, but made up for with speed and damage.
Here come Direwolves looking to answer with some picks of their own here. Azir, still top tier, and Fantix, an excellent mid laner, perfect, as Spawn likes to call him, so could potentially see him locking in essentially the perfect mid laner of Azir.
Absolutely.
There it is.
They finish that one up. Looking the Braum with it as well. And as far as team compositions are concerned, Direwolves will be quite content with what they've picked for themselves at the moment. Regret the shot call heavy support player, gets that Braum to keep his AD carry and Raze, who has the tendencies to be aggressive sometimes at the wrong times. Can keep him alive now with that door. And Fantix, a semi-denial pick from Omni, who is most confident and capable on Azir. Will be able to lock that one in himself. Of course, I'd expect that Omni just looks towards Rise and forces an exhaust out of Fantix, which makes his life a little bit more difficult. There's also the capabilities of anything he wants, like the Victor, LeBlanc. It's all there.
Don't need to get that Rek'Sai right away unless they want to save that last pick you mentioned. Usually for support, but picking it in the first rotation here. So Tainted Minds, a myriad of champions available to them. See where they go here. The Rise, the Swain, the Rek'Sai, you name it. LeBlanc, though, could potentially be there to get rid of that Azir, and there is the Rek'Sai for Zahi.
Yes, the Tainted Minds are last picking for their top laner, and nobody is surprised about this fact. They want Chippies to show his hand first with what he's going to play, and of course being on red side for their first game means the Tainted Minds can afford to do this. They also knew who they were playing against in the mid lane, so Omni picks the LeBlanc into Azir, reasonably even matched.
Sure.
as long as Fantix continues to play with aggression. But the initial burst, the immediate damage, usually comes out of Omni first.
Let's see if Direwolves play it safe and go for that Aurelia. The Trundle is still available as well. We've seen Chippies do great on both of those champions, and curious to see what Pradith goes with. He's no stranger to the carry style top laners here. We know he's quite a Fiora player in his own right. Maybe pick that one up.
This would make a lot of sense here from Direwolves. The
Sure.
only change would perhaps be Ashe instead of Jhin. But the well-rounded team composition of having an Azir with a Jhin actually makes life so much easier for you in the way of engaging. It's not just a pick comp, it's all in pick.
Well, there it is. The Jhin gets locked in, and I'm excited. The damage that this Tainted Wolf, Direwolf squad are going to be pumping out is ridiculous. Picking up that Trundle as well, kind of the safe overall top laner at the moment. So Chippy's not going to be really flexing his Aurelia just yet, maybe saving it for a game 2 or 3.
And I've always really liked Trundle, honestly, as a top lane option. If you're a carry-focused player, you have to remember that Trundle can still do that whilst being a tank. You press that R key, no one's going to kill you. It does unlock the capabilities of Pradith looking at Fiora, but we've seen Chippies into that matchup, and we've seen Chippies win that matchup quite handily. With Pradith yet to pick, he does know who he's against this time at least.
Well, let's see what he chooses to go for. We know he's a Fiora player, so he may just play it close to the chest and pick up something that he knows oh so well, but maybe has to pick for the team here. Been a while since he's played competitively, but hovering that Gnar and actually locking it in here. So Gnar versus Trundle, very interesting.
And both champions feel that purpose, right? They can do damage, but they can also be tanky. I'll say the Gnar is very unreliable, and when you look at Tainted Mind's team composition, I prefer what the Gnar is going to give them the Fiora.
Makes sense.
But their engage is just generally not all there. They need either a flash knock-up from the Rek'Sai or to be able to catch people out of position with the Sivir and Karma. I think it's very execution-heavy, and for a young side, that runs into a lot of risks. Whereas Direwolves, pretty much the definition of stock standard, as long as Chippies and Regret swap.
It's one of those things, right? It's going to be everyone running away from the Gnar when that Gnar bar reaches its peak, but it's going to be a lot harder, of course, with the Karma and Sivir to escape that. But Direwolves, they've got the team comp to do it. Jhin, very immobile. Braum is going to be there to protect him, but Azir has no trouble getting away from those.
Yeah, Azir should be okay as long... Again, I think this just comes down to if the Gnar can actually get on top of them, because if the Mega Gnar hits an engage, the follow-up is everywhere from the side of Tainted Minds, but doing it against an Azir is another battle entirely.
And can you just imagine Gnaring them into the wall with Ricochet, Boomerang Blade, LeBlanc just darting past and blowing someone up? It's going to be insanity, guys. But remember, if you want to show your support to the teams, get on Twitter, #DWWin or #TMWin. To show your love and support for either team. I'm excited, Rusty. Can't wait to get into this game number 1.
They're definitely going to be an interesting game between these teams. Tainted Minds with a lot to prove, but Direwolves, who have shown that they can win through not just Fantix, have even more to prove on the back foot of this. Is can they win that bottom lane, Raise and Regret, or can Chippies continue to go off in the top lane? Can Sybil even continue his consistently aggressive jungle pathing and look for the early ganks that always catches people by surprise? And that's what everybody says about Sybil, is you just don't know what he's going to do.
The ball is well and truly in Direwolves' court here to show up and make a name for themselves. They did a great job last week against Avant, looking unstoppable. Tainted Minds, they took Legacy all the way, but can they do it here tonight?
They definitely have the capabilities, at least when we look at their first game drafting. Pradith has the skin battle, though, well and truly in his hands. I was going to say the synergy of the bottom lane of Tainted Minds is just fantastic.
That's right, they got the Warden and Victorious. Oh, no, it's Warden and Warden?
I think it's Warden Victorious, but they both have the similar color.
That color scheme.
Yeah.
On point right now, Rosie and Lost.
So the Boomerang's just a lot better on that skin.
True.
Either way, you see a fan start from both of these teams, which means just neutral vision. If someone were to lane swap, it's a guessing game.
Minions have spawned.
No free CS from the Spiderlings, denied Pradith. Looks like Sybil just walking in, getting that volatile Spiderling scouts out. Good ward on the red buff, so we'll get a good idea of how Tainted Minds choose to play this one out. Should see standard lanes here from both squads, as we can see on the minimap, everyone just going to their natural positions here, but a topside start for both Zahi and Sybil.
Yeah, so starting on their weaker side of the map, both working towards the strong side. I like what Direwolves have done with that deep red ward. It was even noticed by Tainted Minds. It makes Zahi perhaps feel a little bit more frightened by rotating immediately to that. He may even skip it, which is something that Rek'Sai's can occasionally do. Simply because they know, the Direwolves will know rather that he is hitting it.
That's exactly right. Not going to do that, obviously. Wants to make sure to get as much experience early on as possible. It looks like Lost and Rosie do clear their camp a considerable bit quicker. Lost does hit that level 2, and Ray's unable to use that 4th shot proc for a nice chunk of damage.
Very awkward when Jhin tries to start a camp. Of course, it gets done capably, but if you don't do it perfect, you do miss out on that first wave, and that's where Lost and Rosie can hit the neutrals a little bit harder, find themselves in a good spot.
Omni really expecting the poke to come out of this lane, actually has himself a corrupting push, but in the bot lane, Rosie actually going to get stunned up. The exhaust comes down. Stun onto Lost, maybe one more automatic should do it, and it's the 4th one. Ray's not going to find it though.
Doesn't get it, but Lost is still winning the health battle. If you're trading health for a support and an AD carry evenly, then the team who loses the support health generally just wins that one, as they start the lanes with 3 pots. So Lost in complete control of this lane now, unless Regret can pull off the miracle doors and keep Direwolves happy.
Yeah, Ray's with no potions left, sitting on less than half. Remember the Targons
Zahi's
is going to be there, but yeah, you mentioned Zahi making his way. He's going to get unspotted here.
Yeah, he's in.
Oh, Ray's has well and truly moved up. The flash is there, but Regret gets knocked up. Flash available for Braum. He's just going to walk out though. No stun onto Zahi. He's coming back in. Flashes onto Raze. Heal comes down. One more automatic shoot through. The red buff is burning. First blood to Lost.
Yeah, Lost gets that first kill, and the Tainted Minds team are actually looking quite good this early. Zahi, quick gank, efficient gank, doesn't use the flash and forces it immediately out of Raze. They then follow it up once more, and everyone's able to flash forward as Regret's trying to freeze. He shouldn't be trying to freeze.
Here comes Sybil making his way down. Not going to see anything just yet.
No, remember that Lost is level 3, so has the spell shield. Of course, Sybil's efforts right now are generally either to keep the wave in its current position so that Regret can freeze it, or to push them out themselves, because if they get an opportunity to at least farm the wave, they'll get some gold in the back pocket for their team.
Great job by Zahi and the bot lane of Tainted Minds, but already we see Omni being forced back and playing very defensive, as we see not only the corrupting potion but also the Negatron cloak, so just wants to survive this lane.
Yeah, LeBlanc's one of the few champions that can be aggressive with a Negatron cloak, simply because the base burst is quite high. Omni, of course, having a teleport advantage, given that it is LeBlanc into anybody. And the anybody champion, in this case Azir, does need to have something defensive. Similar purpose to that of the Rise, where everyone has to have exhaust against him, because the burst can be way too dangerous and frequent.
Fair point to make here, as Omni did use his teleport to get back to lane, so not going to have that for the global map pressure just yet. Fantic's looking to get himself a little bit of more CS before he heads back to base, as we can see the recall coming in now. Omni just going to try his darndest to last hit under tower, doing a good job of it, of course.
Turrets have a... Oh, he missed.
Oh, he missed 2. Just as
Right
I say
on
that,
time.
just as I say that.
Cast a curse. Congratulations.
Bad luck.
But yeah, he was doing quite well. Towers have very predictable aggro. Something you learn. They usually work from the outside in, prioritizing the bottom minion first.
So we see Lost actually picking up a cull here, which something we usually see in players that don't have anything to buy right away, but
no, you usually just see it
Sure.
first anyway at the moment. People have started to realize that it's just efficient as an item. And they've started to purchase it. The few champions that don't are usually maybe Ezreal if he has enough for an outright tier. Situations where it's just more efficient to finish a full item. But Cull, always worth it.
it's good to see everyone getting to know those little intricacies here and there to make the most out of their laning phase. Unfortunately, Raze mustn't have had enough to buy one on his recall. Just got himself the boots and the longsword here, so a bit more upfront damage, but does sacrifice the gold gain and the heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Now things have actually settled a little bit more in terms of jungle positions on Summoner's Rift. Zahi, even though he was involved initially in the first gank, hasn't seen anything further. And it's been almost diffused on the side of Direwolves, but it's also because Tainted Minds are consistently pushing their lanes now, which means it's even harder for him to get anything done, as, speaking of ganks...
Yeah, Praedyth might be in a little bit of trouble, has no Naba available at all, does get the hop away, but everyone is coming in. There is a flash from Sybil, looks to go for the chomp. Oh no, the Rift Herald takes the cocoon, and a flash from Praedyth gets him to safety.
I'm honestly a little bit confused as to how the Rift Herald took that one. The Cocoon just looked invisible to me.
He's a big man, this Rift Herald.
He is definitely in bulk season, Mr. Harold. And it's funny because the transition from that gank goes straight to the Rift Herald, just doing it. Azahi's now bottom.
No time wasted for Zahi as he's back looking for another one on Raze. Does get stunned up into the exhaust. The heal saving him from that one, but they've got their sights set on Regret. Good evasion out of Direwolves to not die.
Yeah, plenty of damage coming out of them, but the exhaust from Regret is enough to keep his AD carry alive, and this is one of the reasons we see Braum valued so highly. It delayed their burst by a fair amount of time just by putting the door up. And they get to walk away with Summoners burnt, but their flashes are still standing, and so they are a bit safer than they otherwise would be.
You've got to take what you can, so must be feeling good about avoiding that one, but the CS definitely in favor of Tainted Minds lost after getting himself that first blood gold, and Sybil maybe looking to make his way back, but does see a pink ward here, and we heard Zahi coming back. The knockup is there onto Sybil. Just going to be fighting Sybil, trying to get out of this one. The Chilling Smite has been used and really wants to give chase here. The repel back onto Praedyth. Gets himself away, so good work by Sybil.
Yeah, Sybil does well, and you have to remember that whilst Praedyth doesn't have flash, turning into Meganar is actually a bad thing for him. There was no way for him to keep up with that Elise, and Spiderform gets a bit of extra move speed. And honestly, well evaded, but also overly aggressive from Sybil. Well timed from Zahi with the ultimate to get even in close to position. I don't think he was expecting it. He just wanted his Krugs.
Oh, Praedyth's going to have a difficult time laning now against Chippies, who has himself that Rift Herald buff. So any prolonged trades, or any burst trades rather, will go in favor of Chippies. Just look at the chomp damage. Takes a tower shot for his troubles though.
So even trades, even with the tower hitting him, still work out for Chippies. Remember that passive every time a minion dies near him. Just gets so much health back. So if everything goes even, you chomp, even if it's slightly inefficient for you, it always works out in the end.
Paying tribute to the king, the Troll King in the top lane. Of course, now we are back in the bot. Lost and Rosie trying to keep their lead. About 10 CS at the moment. Raze and Regret haven't seen much love from Sybil, aside from that early roam down. Didn't get anything out of it though, and Chippies gets a nice ward. Work resetting on his auto attacks.
Yeah, it's still doing well in this lane just in general here. Chippies starting to outright control it. Hasn't even finished a full item, but is still well and truly handling Praedyth. And this is the matchup that we were going to originally highlight. It's two carry top laners playing these hybrid carry champions at the moment, but Chippies excelling far greater than what Praedyth is right now. Simply from lane presence, and this means that not only is Sybil now looking at it, it means that Chippies can rotate if he wants to with teleports. They have more availability to them on the map, whereas Tainted Minds do not.
There's no one in position to help out Praedyth. Should this dive come through, here comes Sybil. Trophy goes down. That does cause an aggro onto Chippies. Praedyth, can he hop away? The teleport coming through. One more auto attack should do it. The flash coming out of Chippies. There is Omni. Just destroys the bug. See you later, Sybil.
And again, major difference is the Tainted Minds middle laner has a teleport. Fantix does not. Once again, they don't get to use a response teleport and save anybody or even trade. Omni gets to use his, come in, make it a 1-for-1 in a situation where they were diving Praedyth, who did not have his Meganar available. We just watched Fantix go coast to coast and collect Raptors.
Yeah, just doing those Azir things. Very easy for him to take that relatively safe. Omni, after getting the blue buff, going top, getting a kill, coming back to mid lane now, just trying to catch up a little bit in CS. That kill is going to help him a lot.
And farming all right here, Omni. Remember that he's on that LeBlanc, so has a fair bit of lane presence. All things considered, he is still behind. It's just Fantix things.
So both of them on their way to that Abyssal Scepter first here. So rising trend in mid lane as of late. Cute little attempt at a loss. Not going to happen though.
No, just looking towards it. And if you're wondering why nobody's touched the Drake, it's that Cloud one. Nobody likes the Cloud.
Unfortunate. Cloud has no friends here on the Rift.
Well, if he was useful, he would have a lot more friends. He's not.
The Infernal Drake though, his parties go off. Everyone shows up there.
Yeah, they do.
They show up to kill him, so it's not the best thing in the world. I guess the Cloud Drake does get to live the longest, so that's all right.
Small victories.
Back in the bot lane, though. Looks like Loss has picked up his Caulfield's Warhammer along with those Berserker's Greaves. Giving that attack speed and cooldown. But look, here comes he on the hunt. They've got their sights set onto the Jhin once again. The Chilling Smite gives enough time for Rosie to get in range, who also coincidentally picks up the kill. Sybil making his way down just gives Regret a place to jump to.
And this is the Karma Sivir strength that we expect. Rek'Sai doesn't even have to use anything. Just tunnels around and stays in submarine form until he can catch up, because that's exactly what they enable. And so with that, they can look towards a Drake if they should choose to do so.
Yeah, here we go. Off the kill in the bot lane onto the Jhin, who even with the flash has no way of escaping the movement speed out of this Tainted Minds bot lane. See themselves the first dragon of the game. Sybil in no position to even attempt to steal it right now, as he's got his sights set on top. So the jungle pathings out of these two guys really dictating how the teams want to play this game.
Absolutely, they're focusing exactly the lane they want to carry this game. Is created.
Oh, he's in a little bit of trouble now. There goes the trophy. One more auto attack from Sybil should do it. Flashes to avoid death to the tower. And another death onto Pradeath.
Yeah, so they're focusing this Gnar down quite heavily, and the reason they do this is to get Chippies ahead. He is now in a position to succeed in 1v1 situations. He'll have team fight relevance because he is going to be quite tanky whenever he completes that Hydra and starts to work on his next item. But until that point, Pradeath is running out of options in this 1v1 because slowly but surely, Chippies is getting further and further ahead. You do have to contrast that to the other side of the rift, however.
It looks like Tainted Minds actually want to make Chippies pay for all the attention Sybil is giving him. The teleport is coming through and they've got no way to stop it. Zahi, unfortunately, using his knock-up early and gets the last proc of the auto attack, but teleports out to safety, recalls out to safety, and great heads-up play from Chippies to avoid disaster.
Yeah, very good reactive teleport, knowing that the knock-up had already gone through, and that it has a cooldown. So Direwolves, their top laner, gets himself out alive, but that teleport did have to be burned. Which means the Tainted Minds get a small victory off the back of that. And now they continue to look to pressure the jungle area, where Sybil is pretty much only top lane at the moment. Zahi has been everywhere from top to bottom.
Zahi did pick up that early sight zone, and we've seen just how well being able to go sight zone into Chilling Smite has allowed him to set up a few potential ganks here. Poor Raze. Jhin, not known for his mobility. It's all about the damage. So any time that Zahi made his way down, it was just a Chilling Smite into the Karma Snare, and not much the old cowboy can do about it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering where that next longsword's going to go, because he has the components for a full Ghost Blade. I'm guessing he just had a back with 350 gold and wanted to be efficient about it.
Could be.
He needs those boots of swiftness to even try to combat what Tainted Minds are doing to them. He knows they're in that bush. Direwolves are aware that they're in that bush. And now they set up the trap.
Yeah, here comes Sybil. But looks like the Tainted Minds are the one to spring it as Sybil makes his way in. The cocoon goes wide. The knockup is there, and Rosie is going to fall lost now in a world of hurt. One more attack should do it. A double kill for Raze.
And the big crit comes out of Raze and absolutely obliterates Lost's health bar. And the Direwolves, they did set that trap up. Raze was the perfect bait. And they're not done.
Oh, here comes the curtain call onto Zahi. They want to kill this Rek'Sai, but look at Omni coming around the back of that one. He's got his sights set. Actually has to retreat as Fantix has also made his way down. So 4 people from Direwolves in the bot lane. They're not relenting yet. A nice W keeps him safe, but Direwolves spending a lot of resources down here.
Yeah, they need to be careful. They're tanking the turret for no particular reason. Omni is still a burst mage. Meanwhile...
Oh no, we've seen this story 3 times before, but Chippy's carrying in the top lane. On his way to do so, rather, gets the 1v1 onto Pradeath.
Yeah, Chippies gets another big 1v1. Direwolves on the bottom side of the map also break the turret whilst getting picks, and this is very reactive play. Both mid laners not being there to kick it off helps a lot for the side of Direwolves, simply because Omni's meant to be there quicker with that teleport. We didn't see it, but what we are seeing now is how Chippies basically just right-clicks him until he dies.
Yeah, Pradeath has no hope right now, and trying to get himself that Black Cleaver by the look of it, just to have some hope of dealing back the damage, but it's getting further and further behind as we see Chippies got himself that Ravenous Hydra. Ninja Tabby as well to reduce any of the auto attack output that Praetor is doing right now. Raze finished up that Ghost Blade. So we'll have a little bit of extra movement speed now.
Yeah, now I've got the Hex Drinker to boot, right? So getting the armor penetration build means a lot of mid-game focus coming out of the Direwolves AD carry position. Works well with the Azir. And once again, we spoke towards their team composition, how they have a lot of mid-game scaling and mid-game strength. With the Jhin Azir combo, long-ranged poke and potential pick. You couple that with the Elise, the Trundle Pillar, and even the Braum. And all it takes is 4 auto attacks, a single Jhin W, or an Elise Cocoon, and they're in.
Also, they want to go onto Chippies, but all the CC does miss, and Chippies just walks his way out of that one. Rosie gets caught, gets taken down, and now Tainted Minds are in full retreat. Curtain Call coming through. They've got their sights set onto Zahi. Where is the tunnel? A huge crit coming through, but he's still a little bit too tanky to die.
Zahi may be tanky, but Tainted Minds all need to back away. They don't have a front line to protect them. And the Direwolves now break open the map severely through this middle lane. Not only is it going to be one, it's going to be an easy 2 turret pickup. And potentially the Drake after a recall. Never mind his teleport.
An excellent play out of Direwolves, forcing the Tainted Minds squad to basically give up 2 towers. Really nothing they could do about that. So Chippies gets himself the top tower. Direwolves move bot, get the bot tower, and then just pressure, basically force themselves down that mid lane, playing the map phenomenally right now.
Just remember how that actually started, was LeBlanc and Rek'Sai trying to find Chippies.
Yeah.
Chippies actually just presses his R key, gets all of that health back, and Direwolves get a pick. And once again, this is the mid game. This is that long-range pick that they actually have as a team composition, where they find Rosie and then translate what was Rosie's kill into a lot of damage into then turrets.
18 minutes coming on 19 in the game. 6 kills to 3 in favor of the Direwolves right now, leading with about a 4,000 gold lead, setting themselves up for their first dragon. It looks like Tainted Minds want to contest. The Cocoon goes on to Omni. The knock-up is there. The damage coming through gets knocked down by the Emperor's Divide, but the W getting himself to safety, but look at the damage that's already been dealt.
And so funnily enough, that was actually a mistake from Fantix to even use the ultimate. The same timing as LeBlanc turning invisible means that you've pushed him to safety and nobody knows where he is, and he can actually just walk away. They're teleporting in for a fight here.
Tainted Minds want to go for this one. The knock-up onto Regret. The damage is there, and Direwolves actually retreating away despite the 4v5 teleport in for Omni, and now they've turned their sight back on. The Curtain Call is down. Zahi does get the Dragon. Omni going through, gets the kill onto Sybil. Now Zahi back onto Chippies with no ultimate on the Trundle. There it is, uses it, gets so much health back. A triple kill for Fantix, looking to make it a quadra, but unfortunately, Chippies takes that away. Now Omni in full retreat.
Omni has to be careful here because the Direwolves are chasing. Regret's not going to look for the door because he'd die, so he has the smarts. Direwolves don't get the dragon. Zahi does lock that one down, so they secure themselves the second big objective from that Drake pit. The Direwolves winning another team fight could ultimately spell the undoing of Game 1 Tainted Minds.
Yeah, Direwolves getting themselves 4 for 1, so really good re-engage after forcing Tainted Minds to extend way too far, wait for all that movement speed to drop off, then re-engage. Very well played by the Direwolves squad. 10 kills to 4 after that skirmish, getting their gold lead ahead another 1,000 or so.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we keep addressing this, but the Direwolves comp wants to be a further range away from Tainted Minds. So by Zahi getting the telegraphed engage through Rosie's speed boost, Direwolves can kite back. They're very much aware of what they want to be doing and how they want to be winning these engages. Just comes down to actually doing it. And because Tainted Minds actually engage with what is lacking engage in a very telegraphed manner, it gives perfect opportunities for Fantix to go off and for Raze to complement that even further. The problem, once again, is that the engage from the Tainted Minds roster is a Gnar that teleported in next to his team, not flanking, and without Mega. There was no way for them to outright win that fight unless Omni just immediately bursted a carry. And
well, that was it. Omni was chunked from the start. He was forced to recall, then teleport back in, so he was a little bit late to the fight, and by then Direwolves had already hit the Curtain Call, hit the re-engage, and we saw what happens when Fantix is left unattended, gets a triple kill.
And they're just not working around Gnar's Mega timer either. You want to start a fight off when he's just about to tick it, or that he is it. Chippies.
This is a bad idea, Zahi.
Yeah.
Take the pink ward and run.
I don't think Chippies actually cares.
No.
What Direwolves have done, though, is they've put Raze to the top side of this map. He may be by himself, but they probably assume that Brom is with him. They're going to pressure there so Chippies can work bottom because they look towards the Baron as a bigger priority than that of the Drake.
That's exactly right. And remember, Tainted Minds, they did secure that Mountain Drake, so it won't be as quick for Direwolves to finish that one off. But a 3-0-4 Trundle, and we mentioned Praedyth versus Chippies, and right now Chippies really giving Praedyth a run for his, well, not even a run for his money, just absolutely dominating him at this stage.
Aggressive movements here from Direwolves, though, of course, playing towards their AD carry. Proving the fact that they don't want Omni to actually burst him out. It is a Jhin against the block. That'd suck if you were a Jhin.
Zahi here to support Omni. Should it all be a ruse? As we saw, seen Sybil, Raze, and Regret set up traps and execute them perfectly before. So now Tainted Minds, they know they can't take it anymore at face value as Fantix sets himself up in the mid lane here.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, whilst Jhin actually has the team to protect him, Fantix can probably win this 1v2. The guy is just so large. Chippies can also win this 1v1. And all they need to do is survive the 3-man. And even by surviving, they're still looking like they're in control. It's just that Tainted Minds have a numbers push, potentially, to help them out.
Praedyth once again just getting attacked here by Chippies, who now has himself the red buff.
He's just hounding him.
Yeah. Any time that Praedyth leaves that tower, he's going to take a chunk of damage. And the Baron has been started here. Tainted Minds making their way over. Both teleports available for the top laners, but Direwolves choose to pull off at the last minute.
Yeah, so they're looking to potentially bait the teleport out of Praedyth. He's about to tick that Mega Gnar, though. So they might want to actually start respecting it to check themselves.
Chippies should just get that one away with the chomp. Headbutt from Praedyth, not going to land. Fortunately, haven't seen him go off as this Mega Gnar yet, but when he's able to get that crucial ability and stun up 3 to 4 members, it can be game changing.
Rename that to Ground Pound.
The ground pound?
Direwolves to kick this one off again. They have control. There's no vision for the Tainted Minds roster at all, except for Zahi. He's now about to check.
Preyseeker actually onto Regret, so
They
assume that they're doing it, but he doesn't know
Now he
how
does.
low it is. Going down to about 900 to get smite away. Sybil and Fantix picked that one up there. Is the curtain call. They've got their sight set onto Zahi. 2 more attacks should do it. Omni going to have to block that one away, but takes a huge chunk of damage in response.
Yeah, so free Baron to be oh my
no,
god,
it
this
doesn't
time.
matter. Raze picks it up anyway.
That was cheeky, and I don't even think he had full vision. He just knew someone was in that bush because there is vision past that point. So they get a kill, and they shouldn't have, but very well done from Direwolves. The Baron pickup, most importantly, timed. They just press the button, they just go. They know that Tainted Minds can't actually get there in time. We do get to see this one again. Oh, there is a pink ward that he's killing. Ah.
Cheeky.
They made it. He knows. Like, of course, they're killing that pink ward, like, is an indicator that they're going to know you're there.
Maybe he just didn't expect the range as well.
I think it's 3 screens long.
The W on Jhin is insane. Omni still does a good chunk of damage, but doesn't really matter. As soon as Chippies either pops that ult or finds a minion wave, he's going to be back to full health in no time.
That was an ultimate combo from Omni, to be
That's
fair.
true.
If Chippies is ever near a minion wave, he can actually just stand still and auto-attack them, because what's his health generation?
It's insane right now, getting about 100 per auto, and Direwolves, they've grouped up on this mid lane. As for Zahi, their target right now, Omni trying to make something happen, gets exhausted immediately. Well played by Regret. Top tower goes down, Omni falls to Sybil, and now Tainted Direwolves, they've made their way into the base. They're looking to get some more kills. Praedyth has to jump away, even in the Mega Fall. Jhin looking for Roji.
Oh.
One more shot should do it. Lost flashes in. It might still be enough with the burn. No, gets in the fountain in time. Top tower goes down. Mid inhibitor falls. Top inhibitor falls. And Direwolves looking very, very strong.
They definitely are. 2 big inhibitors taken down now by our blue team, and the Wolves are looking unstoppable in this game. As you know, Chippies just doesn't want him to recall.
He's giving him a trophy.
The Drake is up as well, so perhaps that was a sign. They're definitely in the driver's seat in this game. They're looking very, very dangerous.
When your LeBlanc is having difficulty assassinating any of the carries, you know the game has not gone in your favor. And Chippies impressed me in the Advanced Series, impressing me tonight again versus Tainted Minds.
Yeah, and I think the Rays picking up Jhin in particular is something that stands out to me. The Direwolves have sculpted themselves a very powerful team composition, and they're making it work. Because the long-range pick that can come out of a Trundle Pillar with the Azir's Poke, Sybil's Cocoon, and then the Jhin W makes life miserable, honestly, for Tainted Minds. And they're currently all inning mid. It's their last-ditch effort.
They know. They've got Praetor in Mega, and all it takes is one, and they run away. But meanwhile, the bot lane, Direwolves, they're just pushing up here, so Tainted Minds slowly watching their structures die.
And that's exactly what the Karma and Sivir can do, except that they miss the execution. Very easy to disengage, honestly, between an Azir and Elise. Even the Trundle once again. Now they pressure the last remaining inhibitor.
Omni in the back gets a chunk of damage onto Sybil. Regret just soaking up all the incoming fire onto Raze. Once again, Omni looking for something, misses the chains, and now that's turned for Rosie to meet his maker, gets taken down by Fantix. Tower should fall, super minions flooding from the top and mid. Bot lane inhibitor, seconds left on its lifespan. Omni just can't find his mark right now, and Praetor isn't in Mega, doesn't even get the chance to go Mega. He gets taken down. Nexus turrets are falling. Omni still looking for that one kill, that one flank that he thinks to make it. But no, Sybil, he wants to take the fight to him. The LeBlanc is in full retreat, and Direwolves, very well played, take the game, take the Nexus, and take the series to a 1-0 advantage.
Direwolves looking quite good in this first game. Very convincing 28-minute victory from this team, and that is what we call bouncing back with a vengeance. Fantix only showed up in the mid-game. They got that early game going through chippies in the top side, and then Raze absolutely did his part afterwards.
Sybil did a great job to facilitate chippies and allowed him to be the main carry, but we're going to send it back to the desk to break down game number 1.
Thanks so much, Rogi. In a game of two halves of the map, really, you know, Chippies and the Direwolves focusing out that top side of the map, and a lot of work put in early from Zahi, at least, down in that bottom side. And that's where I kind of want to start, because Zahi started this game off very strongly. Frosky gets into the bottom lane, picks up first blood.
And this is exactly what we expected, the fact that Lost and Rosie are the primary carries, or the primary win condition, if you will, of Tainted Minds. And so Zahi very early gets them ahead. They make good trades. They start to get that snowball rolling on Raze.
On the flip side, we saw Sybil very focused up towards the top side, and he got Chippies really far ahead, got 2 ganks up in the top lane, got the Rift Herald buff on over towards the Trundle as well, and then moved way down to the bottom lane. So I really feel like Sybil was a little bit stronger in terms of that matchup.
And where things really start to go south, however, is when Sybil kind of responds to the precarious situation that his bot lane is put in.
Yeah, and that's what I want to actually talk about for a little bit. I want to talk about decision-making. You know, Tainted Minds a younger team, and they feel that their bottom lane has to be their sole win condition, and they start trying to pull off some funky plays. One of them we're going to pull off on your screen right now, and it's kind of a brush camp setup for us from Rosie and Lost. It just goes for a little bit too long.
Yeah, so the biggest issue is the fact that Sybil and, of course, Regret are here, and Rosie and Lost just deciding to go all in. But the thing that I want to point out here, looking at the map as we start to see Omni and Zahi collapse, hopefully we can just actually pause it. Nope, never mind. If you actually looked at the map there, the blue buff for Fantix is not up. It's not there. So there's actually information for Tainted Minds that Sybil is probably on the bottom side of the map because the blue buff isn't there. Meanwhile, Omni and Zahi are both taking their own blue buff. So if Rosie and Lost just had the patience to sit and wait, or the communication to say, okay, Sybil might be here, there probably might be a gank, they probably could have had the numbers advantage, certainly. But it's just like this over-aggression, this non-communication. It just seemed like so many different pieces of Tainted Minds weren't on the same page.
On top of that, when we watched the setup, it really looked like that's exactly what they were trying to do, because they were setting up and waiting so long in that brush, making sure that Direwolves are going to set our position. They were playing it very safely and very passively all the way to that last minute. So it really feels like they were patient all the way till they lost it.
I actually think that they were just cheesing people. Like, I honestly think that's a really sloppy, like, I'm going to outright call it, I think that's a bad play. I think that, you know, expecting someone to overextend into a losing lane, like, randomly, especially when the caliber of the Direwolves, a team that has made, like, semi-finals, finals of the OPL, is actually pretty disrespectful towards opponent, and they got probably the just deserves in being punished with a 2-0 kill. And it actually went further downhill from there, because, you know, we're going to pull up the next replay. The Dragon fight that goes over after that, they've had a lead in the bottom lane the whole time. This is the play that responds straight away afterwards, and they're fighting from a 4,000 gold deficit.
Okay, man, the replay started anyway. So the engagement, thank you, producer. So the first thing I want to point out is actually that Omni gets chunked out of this fight. So the thing is Direwolves do clean up this fight. This is the big swinging point for them, particularly on the back of Fantix. But the thing is Omni got chunked out. We know that Omni is already running the teleport. He's made it back to base. He's healing himself and he's about to come back in. Likewise, the teleport for Praedyth has already been used. There's actually a pressure point in the mid lane here where Direwolves could look and push out the mid lane to force Tainted Minds to respond and then move back into the Dragon. So it's actually started up by kind of a mistake. Yes, they do a good job of pushing out Omni, but because he has the TP, it puts them in a little bit of trouble, which is why they start to kind of lose the first part of this fight before Fantix just pretty much goes off. Look at that massive damage on Rosie. Ray starts to reposition himself. He uses the Jhin. He hits the slow. Yes, Tainted Minds do get the Dragon, but it's kind of too little too late because Fantix is about to jump on the back line.
On top of that, the teleport coming in from Omni was really deep behind where they were engaging onto Direwolves, and there was no rage bar onto Praedyth. So even though they got a good initiation, there was just no follow-up coming from Tainted Minds when they tried to take that fight to Direwolves.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing for me, right? That the communication would be like, Praedyth is already used Mega. There's absolutely no CC. I mean, we're relying on a Flash Rex Ion Burrow, if that, to be able to catch out the whole of the Direwolves lineup. Meant that even though they didn't really have good positioning their Direwolves, there was really nothing that was going to stop their carries from going off. And I do want to talk about this. It was a composition that we saw the Chiefs run towards the end of last year. Azir Jhin. We're seeing it again. Jhin is seeing a lot of popularity now that Duskblade build is in here. And it's so hard to get onto Jhin, and there's just so many win conditions for it.
I love Jhin right now. I think he kind of fills this position of almost like a pseudo Ashe. He's really good.
He's good Ashe.
Yes.
I'll give it to you. He's good Ashe.
Yeah. So the cool thing is obviously he's got so much utility because of the slow and the range on his ultimate. So effectively it's the pseudo Ashe in the sense of, yes, you have a giant enchanted crystal arrow, or you have this massive Jhin ultimate that's doing the same thing, allowing your team to catch up. But his siege potential, a lot of people, including myself, kind of looked at Jhin and was like, oh, he can only semi-crit towers. He actually really is terrible at sieging. But now we started to see in the global meta and in the OPL that teams have really learned how to siege with him. They immediately just set up at a tower. He ults from pretty much their second tier tower, pokes everyone off, and then just approaches it.
I feel like what he lacks in mobility just makes up for raw damage and power and just utility they can bring to a team. I really like him as a champion.
Yeah, well, I like him too, and so do the Direwolves, and they are able to use him to pick up win number 1 versus Tainted Minds. But don't go anywhere, guys. In just 3.5 minutes, we'll be back for game number 2.